Ruth Langsford has always carried herself with a grace that feels natural, calm, collected, thoughtful, and steady, even when the world around her shifts. For years, audiences have watched her smile through challenges, laugh through chaos, and lift the mood of any room she walked into. But recently, something changed. And this time, the world saw a side of Ruth that they weren't prepared for. A vulnerable moment, filled with honesty. Her separation from Eamonn Holmes had been discussed for months, quietly whispered in media circles, speculated by fans, and wondered about by viewers who had watched the couple build a life together on and off screen. They had shared laughs, moments of partnership, and an undeniable chemistry that felt both relatable and comforting. But life is not a script, and not every chapter unfolds the way people expect. When Ruth finally chose to speak openly about the difficult transition in her life, the moment felt almost unreal. Viewers weren't expecting it, at least not like this. She appeared calm, but her calmness carried a weight, like someone who had been holding on to something for too long. The way she began speaking was gentle. Not dramatic, not heavy, just sincere. She didn't hide behind jokes, though she added a few light comments along the way, the kind that remind people she's still Ruth, still warm, still composed, still able to find a soft smile even when dealing with something emotionally complex. She shared memories, some humorous, some touching, some simply everyday moments that mean more than people realize. Ruth didn't paint a picture of heartbreak or blame. Instead, she spoke about real life. How relationships sometimes shift, how emotions can evolve, how people can care deeply for each other yet still walk separate paths. And she said it with the kind of honesty that strikes a chord. Ruth acknowledged the support she had received, the messages from viewers, the silent understanding from friends, the small moments of kindness that helped her navigate something deeply personal. She thanked people not for sympathy, but for humanity. What surprised fans most was how balanced she remained. Open, but not overwhelmed. Emotional, but not broken. She wasn't trying to present herself as strong or fragile. She was simply being human. She admitted that the separation had been painful, not because of anger, but because endings, no matter how respectful, carry weight. They hold memories, years of shared routines, inside jokes, familiar mornings, and long conversations. And Ruth allowed that truth to sit in the air without rushing past it. Yet even as she shared heavier thoughts, she sprinkled her natural humor throughout the moment, tiny bursts of warmth that made viewers smile. She joked gently about how friends kept offering her the same advice. She laughed lightly about moments when she tried to distract herself with cooking shows and ended up burning toast. The small funny remarks didn't undermine the seriousness. They made her story feel real, relatable. And of course, she spoke with respect about Eamonn. Not as a chapter she wanted erased, but as someone who had been part of her journey. She didn't dive into drama, didn't assign blame, didn't hint at negativity. Instead, she talked about life, how people grow, how paths can diverge even when there is mutual care, how separation doesn't have to be a battle. It can be a difficult but necessary shift. There was something quietly romantic, not sentimental but thoughtful, about the way she spoke of the past. She didn't dramatize it, but her tone reflected someone who had loved deeply, lived fully, and now was learning to move forward with gratitude instead of regret. Viewers felt the emotion in her voice, not because she cried, she didn't, not because she acted, she never does, but because she allowed her vulnerability to be seen without apology. As her message continued, Ruth talked about the challenges of beginning again, not as a dramatic reinvention, but simply as a human process, adjusting to new routines, learning to navigate quiet spaces, rediscovering hobbies she had forgotten, and finding strength in unexpected places, even in moments of laughter. She mentioned how important it was to accept support, how easy it is to pretend everything is fine, and how much courage it takes to admit that something hurts. Fans appreciated her honesty, because so many people have lived through their own painful transitions. At one point, she added a funny remark about how her pets seemed confused by the emotional shift, sticking close to her side like furry bodyguards. The audience laughed, appreciating the lightness she brought into a serious conversation. These tiny jokes made the script feel real, like she was sharing her journey with a friend rather than addressing millions. But perhaps the most moving part came when Ruth spoke about the future. She didn't pretend she had everything figured out. She didn't announce some sudden transformation. Instead, she spoke about taking small steps, waking up with intention, finding joy in simple things, relearning independence, and finding strength in unexpected places, even in moments of laughter.
Hope, and healing, with a quiet sense of determination. Not a dramatic transformation, just the steady promise of moving forward with dignity. She explained that she wasn't searching for quick answers or new labels. She wanted time, space, peace, and the chance to rediscover the parts of herself that often get lost in long relationships. What viewers loved most was how unforced it all felt. No drama, no bitterness, just truth. By the time she approached the end of her message, her voice had grown a little softer, not weaker, softer, like someone who has opened up and is now exhaling. She thanked the audience again for supporting her. She expressed appreciation for those who respected her privacy, and she promised to move forward with grace. Her final thoughts weren't about sorrow. They were about possibility, about learning, about staying hopeful even when life feels uncertain, and about recognizing that endings can lead to beautiful beginnings. Her smile at the end wasn't wide, it was gentle. The kind of smile that says, "I'm okay, I'm healing, I'm moving forward." When viewers saw that moment, the emotional impact was immediate. The clip spread across social media. People shared supportive messages, warm wishes, and heartfelt comments. Some related to her experience, others admired her honesty. Many praised her dignity and strength. But above all, the world saw Ruth Langsford not just as a TV personality, but as a person, a woman, navigating change with courage, humor, and heart. Her story wasn't a tragedy. It wasn't a scandal. It wasn't an attack or an accusation. It was a moment of truth, a moment of reflection, a moment of emotional honesty. And that honesty is what touched millions. As the dust settles, one thing is clear. Ruth Langsford is stepping forward, not backward, not downward, but forward, into a new chapter filled with possibilities, discovery, and strength. And her supporters will be cheering for her every step of the way.